Hi guys, in this video we are going to prepare a solution for counting down the time to certain events. So in our Django administration we are able to add some events and then they will be displayed in a list, and then we can access a particular event to see how much time is left for this event to take place. So if I select event 3, I have a spinner and then I can see that 17 days, 1 hour and 18 minutes are left. If I go to event 2, I will see that there's 5 days left, 0 hours and 18 minutes. And then if I go to event 1, this countdown has been completed because this event already took place. So it took place on the 4th of December and today we have the 5th of December. Alright guys, so without further ado, let's get started. Alright guys, so before we begin, let's take a look at what have I done so far. So I started a brand new project called Countdown Proj, and currently I'm in the settings py file of this directory. So if we scroll just a little bit down to the installed apps list, we will notice that this list has been extended by events. And events is an application that I created for this project purposes, and we will be doing some coding over there very soon. If we scroll down again to the templates, in the DIRs we have a setting where we are telling Django where to look for additional templates, and according to those settings I created a templates directory and I placed inside base HTML, and of course base HTML is the template, is the file that other templates will inherit from. So if we scroll all the way to the end, here we have some settings for the static files. And according to the settings over here, I told Django where we will keep our static files. So I again created a static folder in the base directory. And over here I have a favorite icon and a main.js file. So now if we jump to the urls.py file of our countdown project folder, here I just included static files in the URL patterns. That is it. And then we have our base HTML. So this is the template that you can simply copy and paste. The link is in the description. And here we have in the head several things: required meta tags, favorite icon, bootstrap CSS, jQuery, our own custom JS with block scripts. So over here, the template that will inherit from base HTML will have an opportunity to define its own block scripts. And then we have the title, head, and in the body we have our main div, which is with the class of container and margin top 3. And inside of this div we defined block content. Okay, then we have main.js. Main.js basically has only hello world, but it's not linked up just yet. We will link it up in the block scripts for the template which will inherit from base HTML. So we will have 2 templates and one of them will have this main.js linked up. Alright guys, so basically this is it. This is all what I have done. So now we can jump into events and open up models.py file and let's define our class. So I'm going to name it event, and this of course inherits from models.model. And we will have 2 fields. The name of the event, so this is going to be a models char field with the max length, let's say 200. And then when will the event take place? So here we will have a models date time field. Okay, so let's also provide a string representation method. And let's return str self name. Okay, so now I'm going to save this and jump into the admin. From .models, we want to import our event class, our event model, and we want to register it in the admin. So admin site register, and we want to pass in the event. So I already created a super user. So once I save this and jump to the terminal, I can do simply Python manage py make migrations and Python manage py migrate. I don't need to create a super user because this is already done as mentioned before. So I can run python manage py run server, and yeah, I can jump to the admin. So here's my username, and I'm going to provide the password. Let's log in, and here is our events model. Okay, so right now we can add some events. I'm going to put in event 1, and let's say that it will take place on the 17th of December, or let's make it the 7th December, and the time, let's set it to 6 o'clock p.m. Okay, so let's add another one, event 2. Let's add maybe this, so that this will take place on the 10th, and the time will be, let's say, 7 p.m. Okay, and let's also add event 3. Let's set it to 22nd of December, and let's give it a time of 8 p.m. And here are our events. And right now what we can do is to proceed and go back to our code editor, open up views.py file, and create the views. So we are going to use class-based views, and in order to do that, we need to import them. So from Django views generic, we will be using the list view and the detail view. All right, so I'm going to create 2 classes. The first one is going to be event list view, which will inherit from the list view. And here we need to indicate the model. The model is going to be event, so let's bring it in. From .models, we want to import event and event. And then I'm going to set the template name to events main HTML. So we need to go to events directory, create a templates folder. In the templates folder, we will create events folder, and inside we are going to place main HTML. So this is for the list view, but we will also need a detail view. So let's create another class, event detail view, which inherits from detail view. And the model will be event, and the template name is going to be events and countdown HTML. All right, so I'm going to save this, and I'm going to create URLs py file in this events directory, and then this URLs py file will be linked up with the main URLs py file. So let's put in URLs py, okay, and let's begin from importing the path. So from Django URLs, we want to import path, and then from .views, we want to import our event list view and event detail view. We are also going to provide the app name and set it to events. And then let's open up the URL patterns. And let's register those views. So we will have the path as the main path, and we will put in event list view as view. And then let's set also the name to event list. And then the next path will be the path with the primary key, and this is going to be for the event detail view as view, and the name will be event detail, something like this. All right, so I'm going to save this, and right now what we need to do is to include those URL patterns in our main URL.py file. So over here, let's define the main path, and let's import include, because we want to include the URL patterns from our events in the main URL patterns. So we need to put in events URLs and provide a namespace that will match our app name. So in this case, it's events. And that is it. All right. So now let's open up our main HTML, and I forgot to create countdown HTML. So let me do it very quickly. Countdown HTML. Okay, but first let's focus on the main HTML. So here, first of all, let's inherit from base HTML. And then let's set the block content. We won't be needing block scripts in this particular template. We will need it in countdown HTML, but here let's open up block content and let's create a for loop. So for obj in object list, what we want to do, well, let me just indent this so it will be a little bit better to read. And here we want to have a div, and inside let's just place a link, so href. And here actually what we need to do is to go back to our models.py file and create the getAbsoluteURL method. So we can do it right away, and below the string representation let's put in get. I'm not using snippets on this computer, so let me do it manually. Absolute URL, and this takes in self, and let's return reverse. So we need to actually import reverse from Django URLs import reverse. So now we can use it, reverse, and we need to put in the app name, so it's events, and the name of the path. So if we go to URL.py file, here is event detail. So we can take this and put it over here, and with this get absolute URL we will be taken to the event detail view. However, we also need to provide a primary key, because in the URL.py we need it, so we need to pass it in the models.py file and this get absolute URL, and we can do it by setting quarks is equal to, and then primary key, and set it to self pk, like this. Okay, so let's save this. Let's go back to our main HTML, and over here we can write down obj get absolute URL, and here let's provide the obj name, and let's close off the link. Let's save this and let's try it out. So I'm going to copy the main link, paste it, and here are the events. So if I press event 1, we are taken to this particular link with the primary key 1, because this is the first primary key. This is the first event that we created. But the problem is that we didn't set up anything in the detail view. So in order to do that, we need to start working on our countdown HTML. So let me open it up. And over here, of course, we need to begin by inheriting from base HTML. So extends base HTML, and then let's also open up block scripts. So in this case, we will need main HTML. So let's write script, and let's provide the source is equal to, and then we will actually need to load static. So let's do it at the top below the extents. Load static, and then over here we can write down static and then main.js. So this is the source, and let's put in defer, and let's close off the script. Okay, so this should work, and then we need to provide another block content this time. And over here, let's just write hello world for now. Okay, let's save this. And I'm going to access event 1. We have hello world, and then I'm going to right click and then inspect. And then in the console, we see also hello world from our main.js. Okay, so this is working. And right now I can actually delete hello world and create a div with an ID event box. And here we will have the name of the event that will take place. So we can actually, first of all, close off the div and start writing object name, and then event will take place, or even without the event. So in our case, it will be event 1 will take place, and then we need to provide the object when, and we want to format it. So I'm going to use the date filter, and I'm going to set the month, the day, the year, and then hours, minutes, seconds, like this. And this is it basically. So we have our event box created, and the next div that we are going to make is the div with no ID, with no class. It's just going to be time left as text inside the div, and then we will have the countdown box. So I'm going to provide the ID and set it to countdown box, and here we will have a class equal to text center and margin top 3, and also let's put in h1. Okay, let's close off the div over here, and inside for now we will add a spinner. So at the beginning we will see a spinner, and once the time to the event is calculated, we will see it inside the countdown box. Okay, but for at the beginning, initially we will see a spinner. So let's put in a spinner border row equal to status, and let's close off the div. All right, so let's save this and let's refresh, and there it is. So event 1 will take place, and then we have time left, which needs to be calculated with the use of JavaScript. So let's go back to our code editor. Let's open up the main.js file, and here let's grab all the elements that we need. So first of all, I'm going to grab the event box, and I'm going to write event box is equal to document get element by ID, and here we need to pass in the ID of event box. Okay, then what we will have is the countdown box. So const countdown box is equal to document get element by ID count I think it was countdown box, like this. All right, And let's also see if from the event box, so if we go to our countdown HTML, here is our event box. Let's actually try to get the text content. Okay, so I'm going to console log event box text content. Let's see what do we have over here. I'm going to save this, hit refresh. We don't see anything, so let's go back. Let's see, did I make a mistake? Event box, okay, event box text content one more time, and there it is. So event 1 will take place, and then we have this date. So right now we can actually get the amount of milliseconds between the midnight of January 1st, 1970 and the event that will take place, the event that we added to our project. And in order to do that, let's go back, and I'm just going to access countdown HTML, and this event box will be inside another div. So I'm going to grab this part, and I'm going to place it in another div like this, and I'm going to simply close off the div like this, or let's just do it like this, div. All right, let's see how this looks like. So right now it's actually below, so we can have it in one line by defining a div class is equal to row, and let's put in some columns. So this will be div class is equal to col, and let's indent this, and here we will also have div class is equal to col, and let's also indent this and indent this. All right, so let's save this, and there it is. So maybe let's set this call to 3 and this call 9. Let's refresh, and maybe call 4, call 8 will work a little bit better. Okay, sorry, let's do it call 5 and call 7. Okay, so right now what we need to do is to actually calculate the amount of milliseconds one more time between the midnight of January 1st, 1970 and the event that we have over here defined. So in order to do this, I'm going to go back to main.js, and I'm going to grab this part, I'm going to paste it below, and I will be using this event box text content. So I'm just going to simply copy it, and I'm going to put it in a variable const event date, and I'm going to set it to event box text content, but I'm going to write in the front date parse and pass in the event text content, and then I'm going to console log the event date. So I'm going to copy it and paste it over here. Let's save this, refresh, and here is the amount of milliseconds. So right now we have the amount of milliseconds between the midnight of January 1st, 1970 and the event that takes place over here. So as the next step, what we can actually do is to grab the time right now and get the difference in milliseconds. So in order to do that, I'm going to create another variable called const now, and this is going to be new date, and we want to get time. Okay, and then I'm just going to console log now, and then let's also create a constant div and this is going to be event date minus now. And then let's also console log the difference. Let's save it. Let's hit refresh. So here is the time between midnight of January 1st, 1970 and our event. Over here we have the difference between midnight January 1st, 1970 and the time right now. And here is the difference, okay? So if we would set interval to simply update those values every single second, we would have more reliable data that we can later work on. So I'm going to put in set interval, and we want to set it to 1 second. And then what we need to do is to simply grab this and put it inside. So every single second we will have the now. So basically, what is the difference between the time right now and the date that is the 1st of January 1970, the midnight of January 1st, 1970, and this is the value in milliseconds, and this is the difference between the event date that is over here, and this is also in milliseconds, and what is the difference between the event date and the now. So those two values should be refreshed, updated every single second. So let's try it out. I'm going to save main.js, hit refresh, and there it is. Now and the difference. Now and the difference. Now and the difference. And this is unfortunately all in milliseconds. So in order to change this, we need to go to our Visual Studio Code and work on it a little bit more. So first of all, I'm going to create a variable const d as days, and here I'm just going to grab the event date, and I'm going to divide it by 1000, and then I'm going to multiply it by 60, and then 60 and 24, and I'm going to put this in parentheses, and then I'm going to subtract this from now divided by this. So I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to explain everything in just a second. And basically that is it. And what I'm going to do is to console log d. So over here we have 1000 because we have 1000 milliseconds, then we have 60, and we have 60 seconds, then we have 60 because we have 60 minutes, and 24 because we have 24 hours, and we want to have the days. That's why we are getting rid of milliseconds, seconds, minutes, and hours. And the same is for this part over here. So we have now divided by 1000 milliseconds, 60 seconds, 60 minutes, 24 hours, so we can actually have the days. So now I'm going to save this. I'm actually going to comment out this difference, the now and the event date and the event box text content. Let's refresh, and here it is. So we have 197 days. All right, so this doesn't give us the precise results. This should actually be 1 day, and then we will work a little bit more on the hours, minutes, and so on. So in order to do that, we need to put in the front math floor to simply round it down. And I'm going to save this and hit refresh one more time, and we have 1 day, 1 day, 1 day. Okay, so this is working the way it should. So we have the days. Right now we need to focus on the hours. So again, I'm going to create a variable const h, and this is going to be math floor again. And basically, I'm just going to grab this part, copy it, paste it, but we are working with the hours, so we need to delete 24. And right now I'm going to console log h. So let's see right now what happens. I'm going to save main.js. Let's hit refresh. And we have 47, 47, 47. So this is not working the way it should, because it's actually giving us the 197 day that we saw previously. And over here, what we need to do is to get the difference, because this 47 is the difference in hours between the time now and this particular date. So we only want to grab the difference in hours. And in order to do this, at the end, we need to use the modulo operator and use it but with 24. So modulo 24 will give us the difference in hours. How many hours are left? We have already the days, so how many hours are left? So let's save this and let's check it out. And I did something wrong. Let me see very quickly. I think this should be also in parentheses, like this. And let's try it one more time. And there it is. Okay, so we have 1 day and 23 hours right now. All right, so this is working. And because as the reminder, we are talking about event 1. So right now we have the 5th, and it's almost 7 p.m. o'clock. So if we take a look at event 1, it's set for the 7th, 6 o'clock, okay? 6 o'clock p.m. So 1 day, 23 hours is so far correct. So let's grab the minutes. So I'm going to write const m, and I'm going to copy everything from here and paste it. And here, what we need to do is to get rid of this. And this time, it won't be modulo 24, but modulo 60. And let's console log the minutes. Let's hit refresh. And 26 minutes. All right. So this is fine as well. And the last thing is to get the seconds. So I'm copying everything, and I'm going to put in seconds, event date, and then just we need to get rid of this multiplication, and the modulo remains the same. And let's console log the seconds. Let's hit refresh. 59, 58, 57, everything is working. All right. So right now what we need to do is to display this result in our countdown box. But first we need to check if this difference that we have over here is actually greater than 0. So we can write an if statement. If diff is greater than 0, then we want to do something, and in other case we are going to do something else. So if difference is greater than 0, that means that we still need to have the countdown running. So we can put in countdown box inner HTML is equal to d plus days, and then we will have plus h plus hours, and we need to do it like this. So we need to add some spacing, and hours, and then we will have m as minutes plus minutes, and finally plus SS seconds, and yeah, let's see if this is working. So here I forgot about the plus. Let's save this, let's hit refresh, and diff is not defined. Why is diff not defined? And this is because I put it in the wrong place. This should be inside of this set interval, because we need to check the different every single second. Okay, so let's save this, let's refresh, and there it is. 1 day, 23 hours, 22 minutes, 40 seconds. Okay, so this is working. If we go to event 2, this is working as well. So today is the 5th, as you can see over here, and the date is the 10th of December. So we have 5 days, 0 hours, 22 minutes, and the seconds are changing all the time. And then we have event 3, and this should work as well. So right now what we need to do is to prepare for an occasion where this condition isn't met. So in this case, we need to maybe in the countdown box provide some information that the countdown is completed, and this is very easy. So over here we just need to put in countdown box inner HTML, and let's just put in countdown completed. Okay, and what we need to do also is to clear this set interval so it doesn't run. And in order to do this, I'm going to put in const, and I'm just going to name it my countdown, and this is going to be equal set interval, and we will put everything inside of this variable. So later we can actually grab it, and over here in the else statement we can use clear interval and pass in this my countdown. So now I'm just going to save this, and I'm just going to go to our Django administration, and I'm going to change the date of the event 1 to 4, to the 4th of December. So right now it should be completed. So let's save this, and I'm going to go to event 1, and we have countdown completed. However, event 2 has still 5 days, 0 hours, 20 minutes, and 8 seconds, and event 3 still has 17 days, 1 hours, 20 minutes, and 0 seconds. Alright guys, so I think this is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I hope it will be helpful for you guys. And yeah, wish you all the best and see you soon. Take care and bye-bye.